Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you happen to be seeing this, I would like to offer your love and relationship reading for the elemental energy of fire. Fire covers the zodiac signs of Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So if you're Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or have fire high up in your chart, then this message is for you. And how I like to do the love and relationship type stuff is we'll look at whichever chakra is lighting up for you at this point, and then we will find the lesson that goes along with it. We'll get a little more clarification from the Whispers of Love Oracle, and then we will kind of wrap things up with some tarot, but we look at the singles first, and then we look at those in relationships. Also, since I read intuitively, if you see something different in the cards, feel free to leave it in the comments down below so that, well, I can hear what you have to say, and second of all, you might see something that helps another person out that's watching. So it's always interesting to hear other people's opinions and ideas. So let's get started with our first, our chakra energy. For fire singles, you have number 42, interference. I feel like this is going to be a third eye or a crown energy. But before we get into the book, because there's a lot of good information there, what I'm feeling is like there's something outside of yourself that is trying to redirect your attention, push you towards something different. There's like the interference part of it. You've got a distraction that's kind of getting in your way, and it's not benefiting you in all reality or all honesty. And it's one of those things where it's like it's almost better to find a reason to ignore it than to actually listen to it. So there's someone who's not helping you, fire singles. This is in the 6th chakra, so it's the third eye. And in the middle, we have somewhere in here. Oh, off to the sides here, we have two swans. You can almost barely see them. And it's Hamsa, a pair of beautiful swans. It symbolizes the strength of knowledge and wisdom and of the soul to find its way home through the maze of worldly existence. The crescent moon, sitting beneath the third eye of the celestial insight, is the carrier of the sound Om, and is the visible in the Sanskrit figure. Sanskrit right there. And our key words here, turn to page, is arrogance, lessons to be learned from egotism, separation from others, fake pride, seeking balance for the chakras, about being lost on the bumpy road to awareness and awakening. So what this really means is, yes, there's something distracting you, but it's a road that's not leading you to the right direction. They're talking about this need for a higher search, a higher awareness. So as a single person under the banner of fire, you could be someone who's been like looking really hard, but you've been looking in the wrong places. You could be looking in a very physical or frivolous way, and that's not the type of person your soul's looking for, which is why you're not finding the person you're wanting. And so what this is saying is this interference is actually the ego trying to distract you from your soul's mission or your soul's connection. So if you're single and looking for somebody at this point, it might be a good idea to just maybe reshift some of the ways you're looking for a partner. And if you're not looking for someone, but there's this chaos energy that's building around you, it could be a time to just readjust. There's some energy here that's saying that this month of August is a good time to reevaluate how you look at relationships. Your message from the Whispers of Love says, spiritual connection. A relationship has a connection that goes beyond this lifetime. You also could be being distracted by not your soulmate, or an agreement you made before you came into this world to meet up with this person on this side. So you have a connection to something bigger or something deeper, and that's why these frivolous interferences are not benefiting you. This is really about, it's 27, so 9 is your key number there. Right up. 27. And what I'm feeling with this spiritual connection is this is what you're hunting for. This is what you're desiring, is this connection. It's not just like a physical or semi-emotional thing. You want something that's going to be a deeper bond than that. And fire singles, this interference is really coming from, yeah, you might get that one day, but let's go do this instead. If you're going to focus on it, focus on the thing that actually is going to benefit you the most. and the thing that your soul is crying out for. Because if you're listening to your soul, you're going to be guided into the right direction. If you're listening to your ego, well, my best advice is good luck, because the ego does not have your best interests at heart, ever. And it's a tool. It can be used for good things, but if let to run rampant by itself, it's going to lead you into chaos. So let's see what the tarot has to say. We have the King of Water, trustworthy, compassionate, respected, and cultured, opening your heart and mind to those around you, trustworthy and heartfelt advice. So, fire, your opposite is water. The King of Water, the divine masculine of water, is coming in to help you make these decisions. It could be an older gentleman that you know, or it could be someone who has a lot of masculine energy coming in a compassionate way to kind of give you a little guidance, maybe wake you up a little bit, maybe tap you on the shoulder and be like, fire, what are you doing? That is not the person you're supposed to be with. You know better than that. It could be one of those kind of energies, but it's also this energy of getting more emotionally cleaned up, because sometimes when we're chasing the wrong person, it's because our emotions are still stuck in third grade. So this is that call to, you know what, clear it out, figure out what's going on. Who are you really looking for? Physicality is a part of it, but it shouldn't be the first thing. And that's what this is saying, is start figuring out what your values and your core beliefs are. Search out someone who matches, or at least comes close to those, and add the physical stuff in secondary. Doesn't mean you can't have the physical, don't get me wrong, that's not what they're guiding. But what they're saying is, don't just focus on that side. They might be a 10, but their personality is a -5. Well, that's not the person you're wanting to be with. So you want someone who's got that good flowing balance between the two, and the King of Water is an energy that's going to be very supportive of you in that search. And your second card is the Five of Earth, fear surrounding money, in your case romance, the wisdom to accept help from others, uncertain self-employment. You're in this energy of you don't have to do this alone. Fire singles, I'm really feeling that this is a good way for your connection through social events, not distractive ones, but like going to a painting thing, like after hours painting, or going to a book club, or going to something along those lines where it's not just out for partying and, you know, carrying on and hooking up. That's not the energy I'm getting. It's really about this deeper spiritual connection, because that's what you're searching for. And this is saying you're not going to get it by doing it the way you've been doing it. You're going to have to make some alterations to your path. You're going to have to shift a few things. The King of Water is literally saying, I can help you. So if you have someone who is a little bit older or more mature in some ways that is showing compassion, maybe take them up on their advice as you go forward this month in August, because fire singles, there's really a strong energy here for a soulmate type connection, and I know that's thrown around way too frequently, but that's the vibe I'm getting. So it's not just about a frivolous one night or couple week thing. This is something you're hunting. Your soul's actually looking for someone in a much deeper and more intensive way. So let's hop over to our fire couples. Before we do that, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video if you enjoy this type of content. And as I said before, if you notice something different in the cards, feel free to leave that in the comments down below. It's always interesting to hear other people's opinions. So let's get our cards shuffling here. It's interesting, sometimes the cards are really super talkative, and then other times it's like, meh, we'll get to it when we get to it. So get our first couple of cards going, and then we'll start the fire couples reading. And for the couples, it could be you are the fire sign, which is Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or it could be your partner, or there could just be a lot of fire in your charts if you have read them. So you guys are starting out with number 9, which is, I believe, the sacral chakra, and it is the energy of flow. Before we get into the book, what I'm feeling here is there's this energy of going with the flow, just kind of being this month, enjoying life as it comes to you, looking for the positive stuff, enjoying your partner in multiple different ways, but also enjoying the family or the lifestyle that you have built, because you're in that type of energy. So let's take a peek here and see if I was right on what number we're in. and we are in the sacral chakra, so it's just below the belly button. And the element is water. So fire, you're working with some interesting energy for couples. And oddly enough, fire singles had water as well. So there's this energy of emotional maturing that's coming forward. After breathable air, water is the element most essential to life. It is widely used to symbolize emotions, intuition, and the depths of being. Deeply connected to waves of emotion, it often is found within the importance of family and love, the birthing of the tender-hearted and communication, teardrops of sadness or joy, and the subconscious. On the negative side, it can be of jealousy, envy, depression, moodiness, being oversensitive or overindulgent, and self-destructive. So, fire. With the sacral chakra, we'll get into a little bit of my thoughts on that here in a second, but it's really saying pay attention and don't let your emotions go overboard. Our keywords are going with the flow, depth of feeling, waves of emotion, affection, imagination, experiencing moods, fertility, fantasy, and receptivity. What I was going to say is when I look at the chakras and when I've worked with them in various points in my life, the sacral chakra is kind of the first connection to your outside world. The root is your personal survival and you as a person and your connection to Gaia. With the sacral, it's when you start to understand you're actually connected outside. That's also why it's connected to a lot of the more amorous activities, because it works with that connecting and the continuation of the species. The root is your continuation, but the sacral is the continuation of species. So what I'm feeling here is, as you're going through these motions of spiritual growth and expansion, there's also this deepening that is being called forth, and it's the deepening of awareness of how your emotions go. Aries, this could be a little bit of a challenge just because Aries tends to be a little bit more of the flighty of the fire. They're the youngest, they're the babies, so I get that, and it's no offense, just what it is. But it doesn't mean you can't look deeper. It just means that you may have a little more of a challenge with that. But what I'm getting with this is when you start to mature and you start to work through that, there could be a lot of fertility coming into play here, whether that's a physical fertility where you end up with a baby, or someone's pregnant going on here. It could be going that direction, or it could be just the fact that you are developing your relationship into something deeper and broader than what it was before. But that's where your energy is pushing you this month. Your message from the Whispers of Love is honesty is essential. Speak with love and truth. And when we're really getting into our deeper awarenesses and growth, that's where we have to come to terms with honesty. We have to be honest. It doesn't mean you have to be brutally rude about it when you're being honest, but honesty is the best way to be in a relationship. It's the best way to exist in general, because you never have to remember a lie if you're always telling the truth. But honesty as an essential in this aspect. With the sacral chakra, sometimes we don't want to be as open, and that's where we get into jealousy and envy and all that nonsense. And what I'm feeling with this one is, even if you and your partner are sitting there and you watch a show and the partner says, man, that's a good looking person, you don't have to be offended by that. You can justifiably make the comment that that person was attractive. Just because you say it doesn't mean you're going to go home with them, especially if it's on a TV show. Like, not likely. But the other side of it is, when you observe someone who's attractive and they stay with you, that's a good sign. That means they want to be with you. That person just happens to be aesthetically pleasing to them. Not a big deal. But that's where that honesty comes in. Don't be offended by the comments like that. It's really not a big deal. But the other part is when you say, hey, that bothers me a little bit, and then you guys can have a discussion about it. The key is here, be honest and don't allow the over emotional side to come forward. Sorry, Fire, this is getting a little more serious, but that's the energy that's coming out here, is when you get into that flow state and you want to be honest, it actually makes things a lot better as long as you don't let the ego get in the way. The ego is a tool, and it's really obnoxious sometimes, but keep it off playing with its blocks in the corner. Pull it out when you need it for certain situations. But inside the relationship, the ego doesn't have a place. The ego is not a friend of a relationship, so keep that thing out of the way. Your message from the tarot is the Seven of Water, a complex decision, the need to do research and stop procrastinating. Sometimes we have to really self-examine. Sorry, my screen's reflecting. where we're at when it comes to honesty. It's a really tricky situation sometimes, but that's where the Seven of Water is saying, but you can do this. The situation might be a little more complex. This deepening of a relationship might be something that is so far outside of your original belief about relationships, but it's not impossible. And that's this part that's being called to you. When I talk about water, especially the Pisceans, they carry the heart and soul of the ocean, which is the deepest part of it. You're being asked to gaze into that in your partner's body. So you're like looking through them into their water, and you're observing it to connect. You're observing it to appreciate. You're observing it to love, not to possess or own, because when you come together in unity, in beauty, the connection grows deeper and so much faster. Your second card is the Six of Fire. Well, it's back to your energy. Victory, good news on its way, public recognition or rewards. This is what is the outcome of doing the inner work, building that deeper connection. It may not be accolades from the mountaintops, but as your relationship deepens, people are going to notice. People are going to comment on it. Some people, some are your friends, some are not your friends, but what they're going to be making comment is, oh, you two, of course you're in love. Why are they being so rude? Let them have their moment over there. Don't take anything that they're saying personally, because people are noticing. You'll have the other people, and I'll be one of these type of people when I see this stuff, is, oh, isn't that cute? Just like, I'm kind of jealous, but at the same time, it's such a beautiful thing because it's not just a physical reaction to each other. There's a spiritual bond that has been built, and that is taking this relationship to such a deeper level, and that's where you're headed this month, fire couples, is you're headed to a deepening of your relationship, a deepening of this connection that is divinely inspired. So fire couples, really get into that part where you're being more honest with each other, gently, but also being open to having the conversations and discussing and going over things, and allow yourselves to gaze into each other's soul, reminding or deepening the connection of the love that you share for each other. Fire singles, you have some inner work to do, but it's not impossible. But it's definitely, look outside the box when you're looking for a relationship. The path that you've been doing, or the way that you've been going at it, I feel like it's just really not working for you anymore, so it's time to maybe shake things up a little bit. With that, I will let you guys and gals go. Have a great and actually pretty intensive month of August, and I will see you in the next video.